Denise, Denise, it's Denise, it's Denise, it's Denise, Denise, it's a podcast party, it's a podcast party, it's a podcast party.
I gotta say, I feel like we're besties now after this. What's up, guys? It's Denise Salcedo. Hey there, everyone. Welcome to the show. It is Denise. You are here on F4W Online. You're watching Speak Now Pro Wrestling. It is March 22nd, which means it's Wednesday, and we're here talking about AEW Dynamite. And if you're wondering, wow, Denise has a really big smile on her face today, that is because I watched one of my favorite AEW Dynamite main events in a very, very long time. That is because I feel very happy about what we saw here tonight with the closing of the show. I cannot wait to talk about that, and I'm gonna spend a good amount of time talking about that main event and talking about that whole thing. Also, just a heads up, everyone, if this is your first time here, or if you're a regular, whatever you are, thank you so much for being here. I seriously thank you guys each and every single time you pop into the show. It means so much to me. I must warn you that my voice is still a little bit messed up from this past weekend because I spent it screaming at a concert, and so now I'm trying to get my voice back. I haven't spoken all day. This is the first time I'm talking today. So if at any point things sound a little weird, just ignore it and I'll press on with the show. Also, if you do want to help support this podcast, you are more than welcome at any point throughout the show. If you guys want to get your question, your comment, your statement read here on the stream, you are more than welcome to send in a super chat. It gives you an opportunity to have your questions or whatever highlighted here on the show while also supporting me here on F4W. So it is very much appreciated. And let's get to it, guys. Man, I'm so stoked. And let me know if you guys want to, let me know in the comments, guys. Do you want me to go in chronological format today, which is what I normally do, or should I just get started with the main event? Let me know what you guys want in the comments section. But we got here a super chat from Grapple Geekery, who says Omega versus El Hijo Del Vikingo ruled. Grapple Geekery, I feel that is definitely on my opinion times like 100 with everything else. And I'm just gonna go ahead and catch up with everybody's comments. I love how everybody's talking about that main event. Okay, and everybody wants me to start with the main event. So let's get to it, guys. We're gonna kick things off with the main event, and then we'll go ahead and rewind and talk about everything else that occurred on the show. So, oh boy, here we go. We got a super chat from Reggie Simmons. Thank you so much to Reggie, who says, speak now with the hardest working woman in the biz. Let's fucking go. Thank you so much, Reggie, for the words of encouragement and also for the very generous super chat. So, man, guys, and I'm seeing all the comments come in right now. Everybody has all of these different ways of describing the main event. So, now, where to begin here? While I was on vacation, I decided, hey, I have 4 days off from wrestling. I'm gonna, take the time to think about other things in life. And I get a text message from my good friend Will, because I really wasn't on Twitter or I wasn't really seeing anything. I get a message from Will, and he's like, Denise, they just announced this match on Twitter, and it was Kenny Omega versus Vikingo. And I thought, oh my God, they just what? And so I go on Twitter to just double check. I don't know why, just instinct. And right away, I'm like, I cannot believe this. When was it? December, I believe it was December of last year. I had interviewed Vikingo because he was at GCW. He was at GCW because he had just opened up, he had just gotten his visa to work in the United States. And GCW was actually his debut in the independent wrestling scene here in the United States in Los Angeles. And so we did like a really quick 10-minute interview. It's in Spanish, but I translated it with English captions. You can watch that on my YouTube channel. And here's the thing. I had been wanting to get an interview with Vikingo for like the longest time, and it finally happened. During this interview, I asked him about this match with Kenny Omega. As they explained here tonight on AEW, this was a match that has been trying to be made possible for the longest time, okay? For the last couple of years, they've been trying to make this a thing. And unfortunately, because of, all of these things that ended up happening, injuries, COVID, all, you name it, everything kind of got in the way and it postponed this match from occurring. Now, I asked him, like, hey, are we ever going to see this match? When is it going to happen? And he basically told me without telling me, it was a read in between the lines type of deal, that he was going to do everything in his power to make this match happen, whether it happens in his house, that being AAA, AAA, or that being in Kenny Omega's house, AEW. But when he said it, he kind of basically hinted at, hey, it's going to be happening in AEW, but pretty much with a matter of, it's a matter of all these other things that come into play, right? And so finally, this match has been made. It was revealed not too long ago that when the Face of the Revolution ladder match happened, that Tony Khan was actually trying to get Vikingo for that match, but wasn't able to do so. You guys got to understand, like, Vikingo is literally booked everywhere. Like, the man is hustling, the man is working, right? And so finally, all of the stars aligned and this match was announced and this match was made to happen. Now, as I mentioned, I backed away from Twitter from this period because I was just doing other stuff. But I remember posting my clip, being excited about the match, etc. I later find out through some of my other friends that are telling me about all of the drama that was going on Twitter about people being upset that this match had been made, that this match was made. There was a lot of people saying, who's this? And just kind of being super disrespectful. There was a lot of people throwing some hate at Vikingo and just a lot of that. And I just thought to myself, what the hell? Like, I get it if you don't know somebody, and that's totally okay, because I don't know everybody that's out there wrestling. There's so many people that I'm like, I don't know who this person is, but that's cool. I'm going to find out. But with that being said, I think a lot of it got very, very negative and very ugly very fast. And seeing a lot of those comments and what people were saying, and when that was brought to my attention, I legitimately felt upset. I was so upset because I have now been following Vikingo and watching his matches for years now. I mean, you can go back and find some of my old tweets where I'm tweeting about, I can't wait till people discover Vikingo. I can't wait till this. I can't wait to that. I can't wait till Vikingo gets into the United States. I can't wait for this, for that. And so because I had seen, what he was capable of, and so many people have, by the way, like so many, like there is a huge percentage of people that were like excited for this match and looking forward to it and knew that this was going to be crazy. And there was a lot of people criticizing whether or not it was or should be classified a dream match. Now, I get that this may not be, again, Vikingo may not be totally known by everybody, and that's fine. And so a lot of people were angry about it being a dream match without realizing that for a lot of people, this definitely was a dream match. It was a dream match for a lot of people, including the wrestlers themselves. A dream match for Kenny Omega, a dream match for Vikingo, and so many people, including myself. And so with that being said, when this match, because of all of that, and because I was so upset seeing some of the stuff that was put out there on social media, I finally, when this match was today, and I'm like, okay, let's go. I had kind of, when you're in an argument with somebody and you're right, and you're like, oh, let Google prove my argument. And then you Google something and you're right. And you're just there with like a smirk and a big smile on your face. That is exactly how I felt watching this match, because I knew that people were going to love it. I knew that people were going to enjoy it. And it freaking delivered. Let me correct myself. It over delivered. There was an interview that Vikingo did with SI, and he said in that interview that he was going to be trying out like new moves and new things. And here's the thing about Vikingo, that it isn't all just the, the being able to do 630s and this and that and 450 splashes and this and that. It's not just that, but it's also the method and the technique in which this is done and how it's executed during different parts of like in different parts of the ring, and just different ways, how he got from like one thing to another. It's nuts. It's a lot of the in between stuff and the setup of these big moves, and basically how he just kind of keeps going. So I do want to talk about some of the big moments during this particular matchup, because really, by the way, guys, this to me was this was the only like this was the must-see thing on Dynamite. Like if you didn't watch Dynamite today, honestly, I would say this was the only thing you honest to God need to watch, is this main event and everything that unfolds afterwards. So this starts off hot, by the way. Two dives, like Kenny Omega isn't even completed with his entrance. He isn't even like there yet. He's still doing his entrance, and Vikingo's still in his big giant coat, and he goes out there and gets this match started like really, really fast. Now, I tried to write down like every little thing that was done in this, but I can't even go and I can't even go down and tell you everything that he did here, because there was some stuff where I was like, I don't even know what that is. I don't even know how he did it. I don't even know how he got from there to there. But there was just everything that you can think of. Like within seconds, you were getting this is awesome chance. You were getting Hurricanrana's 450 splash. There was a moment throughout this match where Kenny Omega was kind of working the back of Vikingo, throwing him against the barricade, trying to, during the commercial break, going after it again during the picture-in-picture. We come back from the picture-in-picture. We see, we literally see like a reverse Hurricanrana. We see them exchange some chops in the ring apron, and I was getting like super nervous during this. We see Kenny get him with a boot. We see a very, very a monkey flip from Kenny to Vikingo, where I was so nervous when this was done, because it was kind of scary, like just like the setup of it, and you're like, oh my god. But it ends up being like really cool, but you're kind of on the edge as you're watching them attempt these things that you don't get to see very often, especially the way that they in particular did that. There was a moment where Kenny Omega attempted to do a Snapdragon suplex on Vikingo, but Vikingo instead does like a freaking Dragon Rana that is just so crazy. I don't even know how it was executed. It was like off the top of the freaking turnbuckle onto the ropes. I mean, it was just so much. It was crazy. Vikingo going out there with the Inseguri, both of them going to the top rope. We see this was a really cool spot. And I mentioned there was a moment where, so earlier I mentioned how Vikingo does certain things and how he sets certain things up. You're like, wait, how is he going to get from there to there? Like, it's not the usual setup that you see for certain things. There was one moment where he set himself up on the outside of the ropes, and he's in the middle rope on the outside, and Kenny Omega's on the inside of the ring. And I'm like, how's he going to get from there to there? What's he going to do here? It was kind of crazy, but he ends up doing a Phoenix splash from the outside in the middle rope to the inside where Kenny Omega was at. Like, I can't even explain it, guys. It was freaking nuts. After this, we do see Kenny Omega hit Vikingo with the V trigger, but Vikingo kicks out from this. And then afterwards, we just see more. So at one point, Kenny Omega sets up a table on the outside. And the whole time that table was there, I'm like, okay, what the hell? What crazy thing are they going to do here? I was so nervous about it. And then finally, obviously, Kenny Omega's the one that ends up being put through the table, and it's because Vikingo did like a running 630, and then even before that we see like this really crazy like soul sunset flip from Vikingo. I mean, it's just nonstop. But finally, for the actual finish, we see a V trigger from Kenny Omega. He hits the one-winged angel and gets the official win. And prior to that, Vikingo had gone for the 630, but Kenny Omega moved out of the way. So it really bled into the finish very nicely, because it was kind of like he kind of screwed himself in the end and then took the V trigger and the one-winged angel. So it's a really, really definitive finish, but it was an exciting match all the way through. And I was just so happy because Vikingo not only had this massive platform to showcase his skills, but also, and they were making sure to mention this a lot on commentary, where commentary was like, this is, if you didn't know who Vikingo was, you know now. And they were kind of alluding a lot to what some of the social commentary that was made when the match was announced. So I really liked that. He went out there, proved people why he deserved that spot, why this match was made, and why it was deemed a dream match. And I also like that for the people that didn't know legitimately who Vikingo was, I feel like now you got like a real cool opportunity to discover someone new. And I just think that's freaking awesome. So I'm happy. I feel like, oh, I feel so happy. Okay, I don't know what to do with it, guys. I have too much energy from this match. I don't know what to do with all this energy right now, but let me hear your thoughts. What did you guys think? And then we'll talk about the post-match stuff in just a second, but I do want to focus first on the actual body of the match and some of your guys' thoughts and honest opinions and how you guys felt about when the match was made, where you feel now regarding the match. I would really love to hear what you guys are saying here. But let's see what else we got here. Richard Martinez sends in a super chat saying, Vikingo, who is he? He is him. I love seeing my people go out there and represent. I wanted him to win, but it was dope that he got to go and show out. For a second, there was a split second where I did think that Vikingo was going to win. And this was prior to the match actually starting, because we had, and this is going to bleed into what we're going to talk about afterwards, but at the top of the show, the Young Bucks are attacked, and apparently it's the Blackpool Combat Club. They're taken in an ambulance. And so before the match, there's a backstage segment where Don Callis is kind of being, I was going to say kind of being a jerk, but Don Callis kind of always is, right? But Don Callis is telling, because Kenny Omega's, not really, his head's not in the game. He's kind of all over the place, and, he's not really too focused, and Don Callis is trying to snap him out of it. He's like, don't worry, like, what's bugging you right now? And he's like, what's bugging me? Like, dude, my friends are in the freaking hospital. They were attacked. They were taken in an ambulance. And he's like, oh, don't worry. Those two kids, they're going to be fine. And so really not caring about the Young Bucks at all. But I thought, what if this plays into the match where they tell a story of like Vikingo gets the win on Kenny Omega because Kenny Omega was distracted by everything else that was going on surrounding the Young Bucks. So I was thinking like there was a good possibility of them doing that. Oh my God, I thought that would have been so freaking awesome, but I don't care. This was the kind of match where you don't care who wins because you can't really be mad because it's so good and what you got was so good. And so I'm just freaking happy. And Richard Martinez also mentions, representation and this and that. Dude, if anybody was representing Lucha tonight, it was definitely freaking Vikingo. I think he came out there and he really showed that, hey, this is what we can do. This is why you should be showcasing us in these big promotions, because for a long time, guys, I've talked about this so many times, for so long, you always see Latino wrestlers always get put in the exact same spot on every roster, and you never see them do anything with them. And it's so frustrating. And you're like, why? Do something with them. Try something with them. There's so much talent there to be seen, to be exploited to the masses. And so we can get very frustrating. That's why whenever I see people like Bandito, like the Lucha Brothers, obviously we're here talking about Vikingo, Commander, all of these people get these opportunities to show what they can do. It's so exciting because it's like, yes, these people are out there and they can do incredible work. And just because of where you're from does not mean that you cannot be highlighted on a big platform and be showcased and have these incredible dream matches with competitors, with people like Kenny Omega and several others, of course. But thank you so much to Richard Martinez for sending in this super chat. It's really appreciated. And I'm going to go through a couple of more comments. This is from Juan Ortega, who says that plancha at the start went from 0 to 100. Dude, like the speed in which he was doing things, it was really crazy. Raf says this match was pay-per-view worthy. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see what we got. This is from R. Riggs, who says, I like Vikingo. I thought the match was really fun and great, but unless this match is followed up by Vikingo being front and center in the US for the next 2 months, he will be forgotten in 2 months. Here's the thing. He's still doing the indie circuit. He's obviously, in Mexico doing all of the stuff that he's doing. And so he's going about and he's working, man. Like the man's working. This was, at least right now, there hasn't been any other announcements or anything about anything else, but this was a special attraction kind of match. This was a dream match. This was a kind of like a once in a lifetime type deal, at least for right now, for right now, it was a once in a, whenever else they decide to do it again type thing. So for me, I would not say like, oh, he's going to be forgotten about. Maybe to that specific crowd, to maybe the only people that only watch AEW. But for those that are watching and following the indie scene, for those that are watching Lucha, he's still very much going to be moving on and doing different things. So of course, everybody has different viewing habits. And that was one of my other issues that I had with a lot of the criticisms online, was that it's okay if you just watch one promotion, but to pretend like these other promotions don't exist, like these other workers outside of these promotions don't exist, is just super, like, it's ignorant, like, I get it if you don't know who someone is. Like, there's so many people that are killing it in other promotions that I don't know about, and I'm like, oh, that's clearly my thing because I haven't watched, but that doesn't mean that there aren't other people that I'm not watching out there killing it. So that was definitely something that I also wanted to make sure that I brought up here. We got Shady Havoc, who says all of his moves are so fucking crisp, and those are really hard. How many times don't you see guys try to do things like that and they don't look crisp, and they get called indie-rific and all these other words that are brought up, and you don't get that with Vikingo on this one. Brandon Stark says, that springboard 630 senton Vikingo hit from the middle of the rope to the inside of the ring to the outside of the table. Exactly. Brandon Stark. It's like, it's hard to even describe, but he puts the lit emoji and the clapping emoji. Justin Martin sends in a super chat. Thank you so much to Justin, who says, the world knows who Vikingo is now. The dude is human video game. Unbelievable match. I love the return of the over-the-top Kenny singles intro. I do too. And it was a good one too, like long and some good stuff thrown in there. It was great. It was honestly great to see that. And I feel like I missed Kenny Omega in a singles division, Kenny Omega, so much because of stuff like this. I want to see Kenny go out there and have all of these, matches with all of these people. I want to see that. And so we got some of that today. So that was definitely fun. And we'll talk about everything that happened afterwards in just a second. But thank you so much to Justin for sending in that super chat. I really thank you and appreciate that. Man, Juan Ortega says that code red, one second, let me pull up your comment. He says that code red sunset flip power bomb, Kenny Omega was like, that was a 2, right? Dude, there was some really close near falls that we got where I really thought, hell, let's freaking do it. We got Amir F says, what about Kenny versus Bandito? I kind of wish we were seeing more of Bandito on AEW. It's kind of a shame that we don't get to see him that often, but man, what can I say? I hope we see Bandito more often on the show. Christopher Marino sends in a super chat saying, I'm going to be at Joey Janela's spring break and get to see Vikingo live. Hell yes. And I've only seen Vikingo live twice. I saw him in his match against Rey Fenix at Triple Mania, and then I also got to see him at GCW. Those were the only 2 times I got to see him live, like in person. So I was very happy to even just be like in the same vicinity to watch Rey Fenix and Vikingo in freaking Mexico City. Like, what? That was a pinch me moment when I was there in the venue. I was just thinking to myself, oh my God, Denise, you're watching Lucha for the very first time in Mexico City, and you're watching Vikingo versus Rey Fenix right now. And and you're at Triple Mania. Like, this is the biggest thing. And you're also working here for at least today. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, how did this even happen? So anyways, yes. You're going to have an incredible time. Thank you so much to Christopher Marino for sending in this super chat as well. And I love that everybody's sending in like specific moments of the match that they loved, because there was a lot that I think everybody's going to take a different piece from this match that they're really just going to remember. Nick Grasso sends in a super chat saying, Don Callis pulled an Eddie Guerrero. Is he going to turn on the Elite and go with the Blackpool Combat Club? So let's talk about that, because this goes into what happened after the match. So Apologies, guys. My throat is so messed up. So the Blackpool Combat Club, as we know, is, well, as was alluded to, basically that they're the ones that did the attack on the Young Bucks. And I think we all pretty much knew this already, but still, because, they're doing their whole beef, and we saw everything, how everything unfolded the previous week with the Blackpool Combat Club staring down Hangman and the Elite having his back. And you're like, wait, what's happening here? Are we circling back to this? What's going on? So during this, there's a moment where when all this, melee occurs, you see, so Kenny Omega's distracted, and we see Don Callis basically pretend that Hangman Page did something to him. And by the time Kenny Omega turns back, he just sees Don Callis on the floor, and he sees Hangman Page there, and Hangman's like, what the hell? Like, I didn't do anything. And Kenny Omega kind of doesn't, it's not that he doesn't know who to believe, because he believes Don Callis right away, because he kind of like, says something to Hangman Page. And so they kind of have this moment where he's like, what the hell? Like, why would you do this? Type of deal. And so you see a little bit of this argument. And then, so what you're seeing here is Don Callis today is clearly showing that he's kind of the mastermind, or seems to be the mastermind behind all of this, because he didn't care about the Young Bucks getting jumped. And then he put this, wedge in between. We already know the history between Hangman Page and Kenny Omega. Their long, very complicated history. And he kind of put a wedge in between that, even trying to become a thing today. He was like, nah, I'm going to put a stop to this right now, by getting in the way. So that was something where I was like, oh, shoot. I kind of like these types of layers of storytelling where it's like, okay, what's your role in this, and why are you doing this? Why are you specifically putting a stop to this? Why aren't you letting this happen between Page and Omega? And so that was kind of cool to see. And for me, I'm really liking that we're circling back to this, because Hangman Page and Kenny Omega and everything that they've done together, it's one of those things where to me, that's when you think about like this period of AEW where you're like, man, I really liked when they did this. I really liked during this period of AEW, a lot of that revolved around these people. It revolved around the Elite. It revolved around the Bucks, Omega, Hangman Page. And so for me to kind of see them bring this all back and incorporate the Blackpool Combat Club into this, I think it's kind of a really great way to kind of get the show feeling a little bit of having the show, I don't want to say busy, but having it feel like a big deal. Like, to me, this feels like a big deal that we're kind of bringing this all in. In terms of Don Callis and whether or not he's going to go over with the Blackpool Combat Club, that would be interesting, because we did have William Regal was part of the Blackpool Combat Club, and that whole thing ended up coming undone. And the Blackpool Combat Club has sort of been a little bit, I don't know, it hasn't felt complete, right? You got Yuta out there, you got Moxley, you got Claudio, but what's going on with Bryan Danielson? And it doesn't feel complete as it did in the very beginning when they had Regal and Danielson and all these people, right? So now it kind of feels like, what is Don Callis working at? What is Don Callis's master plan? What is his component in all of this right now? So that to me is probably one of the intriguing portions of this. And that is how we closed out the show, by the way. So thank you so much to Nick Grosso for sending in this super chat. And I'm going to go ahead and pull out some more of your guys' comments here. And oh my God, sorry guys, my throat's so messed up. All right, let's see what else we got. This is from Cyberpal, excuse me, says Vikingo's AAA reign is 400 plus days. Omega's is 700 plus. They can build to a title rematch next spring in Mexico. Dude, that would be freaking crazy. I don't think this is going to be the last time that we see Kenny Omega and Vikingo. So I really hope we do get to see more of them on any show, really. I will take it in AEW. I will take it in AAA. I will take it down the street from my house. I don't care. I will definitely do that. We got a super chat here from our Ernie Phoenix 23. Thank you so much to Ernie, who says Vikingo versus Omega was fire, and the aftermatch was amazing. Another 5-star Dynamite. I really thought that everything that occurred previously on the show was kind of just okay. There were some things that I like, and I'll talk about those once I get to those. But to me, really, it was just the ending of Dynamite that if I'm gonna be like throwing all my little stars or whatever, I don't know. I don't want to steal. I don't want to steal Dave's thing. So let me see. What can I throw? What can I throw out at what should I give? I'm thinking for a second. If I could rank this in terms of bagels, because I really love bagels, I would be throwing out like 60 bagels right now at these guys, man. Honestly, though, for reals, this was top stuff, top notch stuff. Thank you so much to Ernie Phoenix for sending that in. Sheldon Jackson sends in a super chat saying, I was kind of hoping Jeff Cobb showed up instead of the BCC at the end of the show since he called out Kenny Omega at the New Japan Cup finals and said that he was coming for the IWGP US Championship. All right, so there's another guy that I really love. I freaking love Jeff Cobb because Jeff Cobb is those really big dudes. He's freaking huge, but he goes out there and he is this powerhouse. He will eat you alive, beat the crap out of you type of guy. And so when I saw that he called out Kenny Omega, I thought, hell yes. How freaking yes, because I know that they will put on some good stuff together. And that's what I mean. Like, this is what we've been missing from Kenny Omega, because obviously he's been gone and there was the whole brawl out and everything that kind of postponed all of this. Like, this is what I had been missing. All of these different matches, all of these different type of match scenarios that we can be seeing. So this to me is another thing that's very exciting. And Jeff Cobb, man, he's somebody that's been killing it now for a very long time, especially everything that he's been doing both in the US and in Japan as well. So this is something that I do hope, I don't know, did he say when he was going to be showing up? I don't recall him saying when. Someone please correct me on that one because I'm kind of blanking on it. So I'm hoping, I don't know whenever it does happen, I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much to Sheldon Jackson for sending this in as well and for reminding me about that because, oh yeah. William Pickham sends in the super chat saying, hopefully this means that Don Callis brings in Takeshita over to the BCC. Well, remember, he was trying to recruit him for a bit. We haven't circled back on that. That was a while back. That was like maybe a couple weeks ago? Not too long ago, but a couple weeks ago for sure. Thank you so much to William Pickham for also sending this in. And yes, Takeshita would be somebody that was the thing. Like, I remember when he put out when he kind of put out that offer to Takeshita, it was not a pairing that I necessarily predicted or imagined. But once you see it, you kind of want to, once they put the idea, the concept out there, you kind of want to see it play out. Takeshita is definitely one that I would love to see get pulled in there with the Elite. That would be very interesting. So we'll see. Thank you so much to William for sending in this super chat as well. And I like how everybody's like throwing in some things that how I can rate these matches. Yes, you get 5 bagels. Congratulations. Blair Iliasen sends in a super chat. Thank you so much for this generous super chat, Blair. She says that LA area tornado. Wow, great AEW show. Sky Blue is going to be a star. Take care of voice because your area is epicenter of pro wrestling next week. Dude, you're telling me this is an insane week for me because not only do I have my normal slate of shows, my normal slate of work, but I also have Busted Open Radio. My first show is on Saturday. And then on top of that, I work right afterwards. There's going to be an MMA show and I'm one of the interviewers there. So I'm like, And then on top of that, we got WrestleMania next week and there's like a million freaking events going on. It's really crazy, honestly. If you guys could see the list of all of the WWE media events that they're doing, you would be like, what the hell? There's just so much going on. And then in terms of the tornado, guys, I can't believe it. A tornado in LA. What? It happened 20 minutes from my house. I couldn't believe it. 20 minutes from my house in freaking Montebello. I know the area. I know the street where it occurred and all of that. And I'm going there and I'm going on the internet and I see this and I'm like, what? Montebello? A freaking tornado? And I'm watching the videos of people's windows coming out and the roof of the whatever they were working at coming out and the windows of their cars like literally exploding. I've never seen anything like that. So I was like just thinking, what the hell is going on? And then as for Sky Blue, we're going to talk about her in just a second, but she's definitely somebody that I think for a long time now, if you've been seeing her on AEW, I think a lot of people have kind of been saying this, like, oh, we can't wait till she breaks out, And Sky Blue is honestly one of the people that I feel whenever she gets opportunities on AEW, she kind of gets the best in terms of there's a lot of girls we kind of see come and go that are not really featured performers yet on the show, but they're kind of used in these minor spots on the show. But Sky Blue is one that kind of gets the most out of those spots, out of those opportunities. She was the one that I remember saying I thought her match with Jade Cargill was probably one of the best ones that we had seen from all of the matches that we had seen Jade in with all of these different women. Sky Blue was to me one of the strongest ones that they did. So personally, I'm so happy for her. I think she's definitely, and I feel like I've been saying the same thing with Sky Blue, but she's definitely one that the second they really decide to, put focus on her in a different type of focus, then I think she's going to be a fan favorite. I mean, she's already a fan favorite, but maybe even more so of a fan favorite. We got a super chat here from Grapple Geeker. He says $5 for the cough drop fund. I have the halls. I have the halls, guys. I have the halls. I have the Theraflu. It's literally just a sore throat. I hate it. But it feels okay right now. It feels okay. Grapple Geekery, thank you so much for the super chat. All right, everyone. So let's press on from here. And I'm going to go ahead and rewind to some of the stuff that we haven't talked about yet on the show. But pretty much the majority of this podcast was going to be about Vikingo and Kenny Omega. So we got our opening match, which was Orange Cassidy, Darby Allin, and Sting taking on the Butcher and the Blade and Kip Sabian. And truthfully, guys, I'm going to be honest with you guys. There was a lot here on the show that I didn't really feel that strongly about. I was kind of sitting there going, thank you. Next, I'm ready. I'm ready for the main event. That was kind of like the feeling. And here's the thing, though, that sometimes when you don't want to get that feeling how do I explain this? I was kind of hoping that some of these matches would snap me out of that, because when a match is really good, even if you're waiting for something else to happen, or you're waiting for another match you really want to see, when a match is really good, it pulls you in. And I didn't think that there was anything like that on the show today that kind of made me go, oh, damn, I'm really interested in this match. I thought this match was okay. It was fun. It's been a hot minute since we've seen Sting. There was obviously you always are going to get a great reaction whenever you have Sting out there. And of course, Orange Cassidy and Darby, because they're incredibly popular. I've always been a fan of the Butcher and the Blade, but I almost feel like because they went such a long time without really doing much with the Butcher and the Blade, that now I kind of just see them in the same spot. And once I see guys in the same spot all the time, it's a little bit harder for me to gain interest. And that's kind of the same thing with Kip Sabian. So I kind of felt like a lot of what we were seeing today was more so of okay, I know these guys are definitely not going to win. And so I don't necessarily have as much interest in the match, right? I like it to be sort of an even type of deal. But for this one here, really the highlight was just seeing, the interactions with Orange Cassidy, Darby, and Sting. And then, of course, Sting hitting the Scorpion death drop and getting the win for his team. And then that was pretty much that. So it was an okay opener. It was okay. But we need to talk about the four pillars once again, because right after this, we went into kind of a recap / vignette of Darby, Jungle Boy, Sammy, and MJF. We talked about this last week, because last week, this was legitimately my favorite thing on the show. Actually ended up being one of my favorite things that I saw throughout the entire week, was that interaction that we had between MJF and all of these guys. And for me, they did a really good job today with this quick little vignette. Even though they weren't on the show, they just did a quick little video package, kind of pretty much saying the same things. Jungle Boy saying he's going to become a champion on his own. Sammy saying it's his destiny to become champion. MJF basically saying that they need to earn their title shot. He's already beat them all, so they don't necessarily deserve one, according to MJF, because he's already beat them. And so now they really just need to go out there and keep getting them wins. And they kind of teased this happening at Double or Nothing, because after the match, they had Darby staring at the Double or Nothing banner. So I'm expecting this to be a fatal 4-way at Double or Nothing. And I feel like that would probably be the best option. So you can get all of these guys mixing it up in there versus just like one guy versus just seeing just Darby, even though Darby and MJF did have a fabulous match, but versus just seeing a singles match, I would like it to be the fatal 4-way itself at Double or Nothing. So I kind of hope we keep like where all of these guys are just going out there and getting these wins. And next thing you know, it's like they can't decide who should be in this match or something. And then it ends up just being all of them. So this was a very quick portion there of the show. All right. So let's see what else we got here. This one is next up. We have the Guns versus Top Flight. But before we get to that, we got a very generous super chat from Heidi Ho. Thank you so much to Heidi Ho, who says, "Sorry, I'm tuning in late. I was kind of down on the show, and then the women's match and that fire ass main event made it all worthwhile. My first time seeing Vikingo. Hope he's around more." Thank you so much for reminding me, by the way, of that women's match because I did enjoy that, as I was obviously just talking about Sky Blue. So thank you so much for reminding me about that because I did enjoy that match a whole lot. I'll talk about that more in a second, but I do agree though. I did think that a lot of everything else that we saw at the top of the show really wasn't that great. And I'm going to go into the Guns versus Top Flight right now. And I didn't like this. I did not care for this. And the reason I didn't care for it, I know the Guns had help in defeating Top Flight, but Top Flight was a team that for a good period of time was really being booked very, very strongly. I mean, they were going out there and having these phenomenal matches with the Young Bucks, with the Blackpool Combat Club. I mean, they were really, really doing good stuff. And for me, to go into this match with the Guns, take the L, I'm like, oh no, because to me, I just see them on two totally different levels. I see the Guns as kind of just, I almost feel like they're just holding on to the championship now at this point, just to, I don't even like, I know they're going to lose to FTR. They got to lose to FTR. If they don't lose to FTR, I'm going to be like, what the hell are we doing, guys? But still, it's like, I didn't really want to see Top Flight in this particular spot. I would have preferred to see, anybody else and maybe another tag team. I don't care who, but I just feel like Top Flight had so much good stuff happen with them earlier on in the year and even late last year that I just don't, this to me was a big step down for the presentation that we've been seeing of Top Flight. So anyways, I thought this was super lame. Really, I did. But anyways, this leads into what we're actually going to be seeing between the Guns and FTR. So we know FTR. We have to see FTR win here. We just have to. We have to. Like, this is clearly, personally, I was hoping that they got this done a lot faster, but it seems like they're holding off just a tad bit. But basically, they go out there. FTR asks for a title shot. The Guns is like, no, we already beat you. We don't have to do this title shot. We don't have to give you a title shot. We don't want to give you a title shot. And afterwards, they're kind of throwing out some ideas of what they can do to convince them to take the title shot. This all leads to FTR saying that if they can't beat the Guns and win the titles, that they will quit AEW. Now, eventually a deal is made after this. So we are going to be seeing the Guns versus FTR. Afterwards, they spit in their face, this and that. I like the stipulation because there's been a lot of, rumors and a lot of talk. Is FTR leaving AEW? Are they not leaving AEW? They talk about it a lot. Well, Dax talks about it a lot in his podcast, where he talks about the potential of going to WWE, that they don't know what to do after their contracts run out and this and that. And so there's been a lot of conversation about FTR and what they're going to be doing, after AEW, or if there's even an after AEW. So I kind of feel like this was a good stipulation for that particular portion of it all. But for me, I'm just ready to see FTR just get these titles. If they don't, I would be surprised, but they definitely have to. So this to me feels pretty straightforward. Have FTR win the titles, and let's move on. Pretend this never happened. Heidi Ho, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate it a whole lot. Grapple Geekery sends in a super chat saying the Guns are working a show near me on Saturday. Can't decide if I want to go yell ass boys at them or not. Hey man, you don't always get opportunities to go out in public and start yelling ass boys to people. So this might be your only shot, Grapple Geekery. So if you want to go out there and have an excuse to be yelling out ass boys, this is it, man. This is your opportunity. So there you go. Let's see what else we got here and see what people are saying. This is from R. Riggs, who says, I like the Guns. I think anyone mentally oh, I thought you were talking about, wait, are you talking about the Guns or are you talking about guns? I don't know what's going on in the chat. I thought you were talking about the Guns. Okay. I get what you're saying. Wait, I get the joke now. Our Riggs was making a joke and it took me a lot longer to get it. He says, I like guns. I think everyone mentally stable should own one. So the brothers are about the only guns I don't want to see. Oh God, I'm not even going to get into that right now, but okay, I get the joke now. It took me a second. I'm like, wait, where are you going with this? Where are we going with this? All right, look, I'm not feeling the Guns, bless their hearts. I'm just not feeling the creative around them. When they defeated Top Flight, it was crickets. I mean, you could literally hear the guy in the 50th row eating nachos because nobody reacted to it at all, okay? At all. All right. And I'm sorry, I'm just not a fan. Please, I mean, come on, like there's so many other teams that could be champs right now that you could be doing something with. The Acclaims, they were so hot, the Acclaims, and they still are because people love the Acclaims, but they just ended it too soon for the Acclaimed, man. I would have much preferred. And I know that maybe this wasn't going to work out, and I get it, baby faces and heels and this and that. I'm not stupid, but I would have much preferred to see the Acclaimed versus FTR and see FTR defeat them. I would have preferred that. Honestly, I just feel like the Acclaimed was robbed of really having an opportunity to hold on to those championships and kind of make their mark in AEW as AEW tag team title champions. I feel like that was kind of taken from them a little bit too fast. So that's where I'm at on all of this. But there we go. After this, we did get a backstage segment with Jade Cargill and last week we spent a lot of time talking about Taya Valkyrie because she made her debut into AEW. And basically today we had Mark Sterling issue a cease and desist on Taya Valkyrie for quote unquote stealing or using Jade's minute finisher in the Jaded. As we know, that's also Taya's finisher, but I like that they're incorporating this into the actual storyline. I think it's kind of funny and it works. And it gives Mark Sterling a little something to do there. So good stuff there. I've already spent too much time talking about this on last week's show, so I don't want to say the same thing because I don't got nothing new to add. But after this, we got a match that surprisingly I did not hate at all. I didn't hate this. This was super hokey, but I loved it. I actually really loved this. And it was Stokely Hathaway versus Hook. When it comes to comedy and wrestling, I'm so cool with comedy and wrestling. Like, I don't care. I love comedy and wrestling. But I love it when it's people that can actually be comedic, when they have that natural comedic instinct, and not a lot of people do. And I think that's what they were trying to do with the Guns for a while, and it wasn't working. Now, whatever, I'm not going to go back to that. I'm moving on to something new, but Stokely Hathaway versus Hook. Now, for me, Stokely Hathaway's the man. He's freaking funny as hell. He goes out there and he's being promoted as being as smart as an owl, and I don't know what other nonsense they were promoting him as, but he goes out there and he says that unfortunately he's not medically cleared to compete and that he has a note and I don't know what else. And then he says, also, I would like to announce that I am retiring. Stop it. This killed me. I could not stop laughing about this because I wasn't expecting the man to come out there and be like, oh yeah, I'm not medically cleared. And also, this also happens to be my retirement. This was too funny. I'm sorry. You only can have certain people deliver these types of lines and actually have it work. And then he even says something about, he acknowledges his 12 fans in the audience. This was funny. He's a very good at doing the funny stuff. But anyways, they call BS on it. He has to do the match. He runs away. Hook chases after him. Hook brings him back, suplexes him, throws him into the ring, and they end up having a mini hardcore match. Yes, we got a mini hardcore match today with Stokely Hathaway. You know what that means? Stokely Hathaway is hardcore, ladies and gents. He is hardcore. Stokely Hathaway brings out a fire extinguisher, sprays it onto the face of Hook. It's obviously not enough. Hook gets the advantage, gets him with the chair shot a bunch of times, suplexes him into the barricade, then hits him with the locks in the red rum, gets the win. I thought this was brief, short, and fun. This could have been god awful, and it could have hurt Hook, and it could have ruined Stokely Hathaway's comedic presence, and it did not. It actually made me, I like that I got to see Hook do something different, because for the most part they kind of were doing the same thing with Hook. This is probably the most different thing that they've had Hook do, so I did like that. And then I also like that Stokely Hathaway, this was entertaining, this was fun, I really enjoyed it. AFC and TP says, looking forward to the Stokely Hathaway retirement ceremony tribute edition of Dynamite next week. They should definitely do that. Simeon says, this was a really fun comedy wrestling match while being serious at the same time. Stokely is straight out of the 90s black comedy movie. I freaking love Stokely, man. I swear. Scoutcher Boy says, hardcore Hathaway, the double H. He's double H, hardcore Hathaway. It was good stuff, honestly. This could have been terrible. And it ended up being really good. Anyways, after this, we get Adam Cole. So Adam Cole is going to be making his return to the ring in 7 days next week. This was announced a while back when they announced AEW All Access. He's talking about how he feels great and this and that. And then he says, well, now it's time to talk about who my opponent is going to be, because everybody's been wondering who Adam Cole's first opponent is going to be. There was a lot of people with some really big ideas of predictions in terms of who they thought his opponent was going to be. And Daniel Garcia interrupts him and basically says, you know, I wanted, like, he basically, so he goes out there and he starts saying that since Adam Cole has been gone, that he is the locker room leader and that everybody respects him and this and that. So he's talking out of his butt, right? And then he says that he says, I've been proving that I'm one of the best wrestlers, and he kind of stops before he finishes wrestlers and corrects himself because he's part of the Jericho Appreciation Society and they're not wrestlers, they're sports entertainers. So he corrects himself to actually being a sports entertainer. But pretty much you get some back and forth here. You got he tells Adam Cole, like, oh, what makes you special? I'm out here beating all these people and you haven't done anything. And Adam Cole's like, when the bell rings, that's what makes me special. And Adam Cole talks about how there was a moment where he thought he wasn't going to wrestle again and he was hoping and praying that he would. And so this all leads to Adam Cole versus Daniel Garcia in a match that's happening next week on Dynamite. And I'm going to be honest, though. I'm going to be completely honest. It was weird because Daniel Garcia was not a person that I thought was going to be Adam Cole's first match. Like, he really wasn't the person that I predicted or even thought would be Adam Cole's first match. But for some odd reason, I don't hate the idea. Like, I don't hate it. It's a little bit on this. To me, it kind of felt a little bit like, oh, I was really expecting, like maybe a big name for this to feel really huge. I was kind of expecting it to go down that direction. But when I thought about it, I'm like, well, why was I expecting that? Why was I necessarily expecting like such a big name? Like, yeah, he's coming back, but this is a match on Dynamite. So I'm like, okay, fine. Daniel Garcia has gone out there and had some really good matches, and he's really been coming into his own over the last year. So at first, I kind of felt just a slight bit of disappointment with the reveal, but afterwards, it kind of set in, and I'm like, okay, you know what? They can do something really good here. So I'm not opposed to this whatsoever. I think they can actually have a really entertaining matchup based on what we've seen with Daniel Garcia. We've seen him in a lot of, bigger deal matches. So he's kind of, I think he's definitely the person or one of the people to have this opportunity with Adam Cole. So it's fine, guys. It's definitely fine. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, Brandon Stark says, I definitely didn't see Cole versus Garcia, but I'm not complaining. Like I said, I don't think it's really, what many people predicted, but here we go. This is from Richard, who says, it's because of the hype around his return match made it sound bigger. It did. I think because the way that they made the announcement, and it kind of felt like they were, I don't know, it felt like they were targeting the specific date for something bigger than just the AEW All Access show, in particular for Adam Cole. So I think that's part of the reason that maybe we thought, oh, he's going to go and face this person or that person. But it's fine with Daniel Garcia. Again, he's somebody that's part of, Jericho Appreciation Society. He's had good matches. Like I said, he's come into his own. So it should be okay. Alrighty, and we got people saying that they think that, Shady Havoc says, I think you're sleeping on Daniel Garcia. It's not that I'm sleeping on Daniel Garcia. It's just that he wasn't the person that I was expecting. But again, once I kind of thought about it, I was like, okay, I see what they're doing here. It might not have been my first pick, but I get it. After this, we had Jon Moxley versus Stu Grayson. And this is another match where I kind of felt earlier when I said that I feel like some matches you just know what you're going to get. And the Jon Moxley Stu Grayson match, I kind of knew what I was going to get from this one. I thought we had a great performance from Stu Grayson. I thought he did phenomenal in this, actually. So even though I ended up enjoying this match a little bit more than I previously expected, it was just an okay match for me. Jon Moxley gets the win. It was fine. Ricky Starks issues an open challenge and basically issues it to Juice Robinson and tells him it's up to you if you want to accept it or not. And he's gonna be appearing on Rampage, Ricky Starks, and I guess there is where I'm expecting Juice Robinson to actually accept this matchup. So I'm expecting it to happen at Rampage. Also, Rampage is going to be on a Saturday this week. So that means that my Friday show is going to be literally just SmackDown, and I'm going to go live immediately after SmackDown. So I'm totally cool with that because I have to wake up early on Saturday. So I'm totally okay with going to sleep an hour earlier than I normally do. Cool with that. We got a super chat here from John Deller, who says, you doing anything special with Rampage on Saturday instead of Friday? No, I'm definitely not. So I'm doing for this particular Friday, I'm gonna watch SmackDown. After SmackDown, I will be live here to talk about SmackDown. And then I'm not going to be doing a post show for Rampage because I had a booking already in line. I mentioned that I'm going to be doing backstage interviews at an MMA show called Up Next Fighting. I work for them and they pay me very well. And I like doing that. So I'm definitely going to be there. So I will be doing that. And, it's something that I had already booked way in advance. And doing a post show just for Rampage, I feel like it probably wouldn't be like, I don't know, it doesn't feel like I have to do a post show for it. I can go 1 week and be okay. But thank you so much to John Deller for sending in this super chat and for asking, by the way. I'm sorry, but yeah, I already had this booking and I definitely have to do that. Thank you so much though for sending in this super chat. Okay, so let's see what else we got here. We got QTV, everybody. So QTV, some funny stuff in here. Basically, it's sort of like this, we mentioned last week that it's like a TMZ type deal, but if TMZ only covered wrestling, but also making making a mockery of like wrestling podcasters and wrestling people that create content and stuff like that, and people that break news. That's literally what QTV is. So I think it's hilarious. QT starts off with he's like, come on guys, I'm looking for scoops, and I was like, oh my god, that is so funny. He's going out there looking for scoops, right? And then they pull up the clip of Rey Fenix and Powerhouse Hobbs from Rampage. I did get to watch that, by the way. I made sure to go out of my way to watch that because I was not going to skip that match. I liked it for what it was. Honestly, it was a fine little matchup. But anyways, so they show Phoenix getting beat, etc. They're making fun of Hobbs. They're making fun of Phoenix. They even mentioned having an observer account. That was kind of funny. So they're kind of just, making a mockery. I think it's great. I think it's fun. I actually really like this concept. And honestly, I would really love to kind of hear how QT put this all together because it's pretty clever in the way that they're making a mockery out of all of this, but they're also kind of pushing forward in terms of pushing some of these storylines forward. So I really like QTV. Like this could have been awful, but it's okay. I really like this. I liked it more this week actually than I did last week. Like last week, I just thought, oh, that's funny. It's TMZ. But this time I thought it felt like it had a little bit more of a purpose. So I did like this week's a little bit more. Of course, last week they did reveal though about the break-in. So there's that. But anyways, we got a fun match here. This is the last thing we got to talk about because I already talked about the main event, but we got to talk about Toni Storm versus Sky Blue. So we mentioned Sky Blue earlier and basically how she kind of always, like, whenever she gets these spots, they let her really make the most of it. And during this match, she pretty much got the best out of Toni Storm at the start of this match. Like, she really went for it. They gave her a lot of offense during this match. There was a moment where Toni Storm hits her with the hip attack, sends her to the outside, and then Sky Blue is basically jumped by Ruby and Saraya while the referee is distracted by Toni Storm. So we do get to see some of that. Of course, they play into the Outcast and all of that. Afterwards, we see back in the ring. I thought this was going to be a quick squash. No, they really did give a lot more to Sky Blue there. So that was fun. Afterwards, she even gets her code blue. She's like about to get the win, but Ruby is distracting the referee. And then finally, we end up seeing another hip attack from Toni Storm. Then she hits the German suplex, and then she hits the Storm Zero. So she literally hits everything, and she gets the win on Sky Blue. The only criticism that I have of this, and it's kind of more of like a pet peeve, because I mentioned this last time in when Riho was being outnumbered. I'm like, okay, you guys are all fully aware now that Saraya and Ruby and Toni are not going to be playing by the rules. You know this already. So I feel like we knew that Willow or Riho or somebody was going to come out afterwards, which we did see Willow and Riho come out afterwards. The only thing is, I kind of wish that they were out there already, because it was obvious. You already know that they're going to get involved in the match. So you guys should get together, have each other's backs, and not wait until afterwards and maybe be out there before, during the match, basically keeping an eye out on those girls and making sure that they don't somehow get involved in this match and screw Sky Blue, right? Because they got to have each other's backs. That's the whole thing here. So I did kind of think that it was a little lame for them just to come out afterwards and do the run-in, because that's what they did last week or the week before that. I forget what week. But to me, they should have already been out there, because they already know. Like, this is not new information. We know the Outcasts are going to cheat. They're going to do what they need to do to cause damage or whatever. But they should have already been out there. So that's where I'm at with that. But let's see what else we got here and see what people are saying. This is from William, who says that Toni always makes her opponents look great. Kudos to both women. She does. She really does. So she's got some good matches there. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Rick says, I do laugh every time I see Riho with a pipe. She looks really cool with that pipe. She looks like she's just going to kill every MFer who gets in her way, man. Really. Alrighty, everyone. So I talked about everything already. That was AEW Rampage. Sorry, Dynamite. Oh my God. I was thinking about Rampage because I was about to promote the show. We got a super chat here from Heidi Ho. Says, I can't remember the last time AEW had a women's match that was this good. More of this, please. Yeah, they've had quite a bit, honestly. Not too recently. The problem is that it's too sporadic. Like, all this stuff happens sporadically, so you tend to forget, but they do have them. They definitely do have them. They're just a little bit too spaced out. But Heidi Ho, I appreciate the super chat a whole lot, really. All right, let's see what else we got here. Alrighty. That's it, guys. That was the show. So I will be back on Friday. And once again, Friday, I'll just be doing SmackDown and I'll be live immediately after SmackDown. So it'll be a little bit of a different show. But just a heads up, everyone, next week is WrestleMania week. It's going to be super crazy, super bananas. Please, if you haven't already, head on over to youtube.com/Denise Salcedo because I'm going to be posting all of my content from WrestleMania week there. I'm going to try to get as much stuff as I possibly can. So please head on over there, youtube.com/Denise Salcedo. Click that subscribe button. I'm less than like 4,500, way less than 4,500 subscribers away from 100K. I'm definitely thinking it's going to happen after WrestleMania. So hopefully, if you guys haven't already, this is your friendly reminder. But other than that, I will see you guys back here on Friday for SmackDown. Bye, everyone. Take care.